Howdy folks, welcome back to the Aquaponics backyard. Okay, a lot of viewers to request to be in. That's interesting. I'll have to look and find out what that is. Sorry, just, of course, started a broadcast. The first thing that happens is Facebook pops a message up right in the middle of the screen telling me about a brand new feature that, you know, they had the past 5 minutes while I was setting this thing up to tell me about. So, anyway, welcome. Update real quick. Won't be quite as long as the last one. I realized last time I went on for almost a half an hour by the time I got done the walk around the property and stuff, but that's okay. So yeah, we're in the backyard today. Just want to show you what we've got done so far. For those of you following along, I did post to my blog sort of a high-level overview of everything that's gone on so far this season. If you're interested, take a look. There's a few pictures of various parts of the progress. There will be another update later on the blog site, so that's michelleRvaillancourt.com. Just take a look. If you know me well enough to be seeing this video, you probably know how to spell my name, find it. When this goes up on YouTube, I'll make sure that there's actually a link in the description section with the name spelled properly. So let's take, and there's Denny, because, you know, he's been quiet for the past 10 minutes. As soon as he hears me speaking, he's got to have his words in. So Denny the Rooster says hello, wants to sing you the song of his people. You're going to hear a lot more from him, I expect. So let's take a quick walk around, and I'll show you what we've got done. There's been some changes since the last video. Alrighty, so this is obviously the first big change. Let's show you what we got going on. So down the bottom here, you can see we have a new pump, a couple goldfish. Oh, give it a rest. So you can see down the bottom we've got a pump, brand new down there. Water level's a little low, so there's a little bit of side spray, but that's okay. Comes up, and where it goes is to a new piping arrangement. Here, you can see I've got there and there. This piece of pipe, of course, goes to my manifold to run my 4 grow pipes. And this one on the right-hand side is there. And it goes up to this white piece of pipe, along the whole outside edge, and up, and we have a brand new trellis. So, for safety reasons, I decided I didn't want to bring this piece of pipe down to ground level. I figured I'd go high. The new pump will support it, so that's what I did. Got Doug Clark to put this together for me. Very crafty fella. And so this piece of pipe comes down and into this clay pellet stacking planter. Well, you can put whatever you want in it. I've got it full of clay pellets, as you can see. And then down into a media bed. So this is where the tomatoes are going to wind up going, as well as a few other things. Get up. So the pipe comes down into it. It actually goes down to the bottom, down to about that deep before the pipe ends. But you'll see the outside edge is slashed. That's to make sure I'm dragging lots of oxygen into the water before it disappears below the clay pellet level. A little bit of splishy splash. I am a little bit worried about algae growth down here, but we can sort that out just by making sure stuff gets shaded. And then I made a mistake. So you'll see that the pipe comes straight down to ground level, runs out to here and heads out. What's actually supposed to happen, and this will be what I'm going to be working on this afternoon, is it's actually going to come out straight to the steel pipe there. And then it's going to go up to about here, over, and then back down. And the reason for that is that up, down, and over is going to be a U-siphon. So that I can, by flexing that piece of pipe, leaning it further this way, standing it straighter up, I can set the water level in the grow bed before the siphon goes off. So what I want to be able to do is the clay pellet level is about here right now. So what I want to be able to do is set the water level about an inch lower than that, 25 mils lower than that, for just to keep the amount of slime down. Then it's going to go to ground. Follow this piece of pipe over here. As I've said before, this is eventually going to be the raft bed. Right now, because I just don't have the time, materials, or money to do that, I'm just going straight across on a piece of pipe. And then out the other side, a little bit of a dog leg, and back into the sump tank. So that's the water flow so far. It's working really well. Let me get one of the covers off here. Let's see if we can do this. So I don't know how well you can see that or not, but that's what it looks like. So what you had there was the two pieces of pipe, one coming down from the bioreactor. So the right-hand piece would have been this one, and then the left-hand piece is coming from over here. So that's what we've got done so far. Show you a couple more things real quick. Hang on a second here. So we've got stuff growing in the grow pipes, as you can see. We've had an interesting problem. Do you see this right here? So, and same thing happened here. Some of the plants are so heavy and the grow cups are so shallow that they tip over under their own weight and snap themselves, and then it chokes. We've had to go back and replant. That's the reason we're using some of these solo cups. The solo cups, because they're so much deeper, by comparison, give more material around the stem of the plant and they support it better. This is the other thing we've seen. We've had some stiff winds, and essentially the plants start helicoptering and pulling themselves out by the roots. Over here, this one I'm going to have to completely replant. So I've lost about a third of the plants I put in because of wind effects and the shallowness of these pipes. The grow cups, my apologies. So it looks like the solo cups, which I just use a hot nail to punch some holes in the bottom of, are in fact better than the paid for not really expensive, but not really cheap net cups. Excuse me. So that's a bit of a drag. So I'm probably going to wind up having to go replace almost half of the net cups here with solo cups to give the plants a start. I suspect if I was in a greenhouse where I was wind sheltered, this would be working better. But yeah, that's not the circumstance. I'm outdoors and wind is turning into a problem. So yeah, this is the water side. You can see we've got, so each of the pipes, each of the grow pipes, you can see, comes down the bottom out through an extender and then pours into the tank. I'm experimenting. I've got one of them set back up as a flood and drain just for giggles. This piece of pipe here is a level drain, just to try and keep the water level from going too high. And in the back over here, you can see this water coming out. That's an airlift pump. So what happens is there's a piece of 50 mil pipe that runs all the way to the bottom of the tank, has an air stone in it, and a gate valve so the air can't run backwards. So the only way that water and air can move is up the pipe, and it comes out then through a reducer that takes it from 50 mil down to 25 mil and produces that jet of nice frothy water. What that's doing is making sure that basically the tank doesn't stratify. Stratification is where basically the tank starts to layer because of differences in oxygen and temperature. And so what will happen is that dense airless water, cold airless water, will sink to the bottom of the tank. Trout like cold water. They'll try and get into that water layer, but it's no air in it, so it'll either damage them or they have to swim out of it. So what that airlift pump does is vacuums up, if you will, that dead, cold water down the bottom of the tank, brings it up to the surface, fills it full of oxygen, and then pours it out on the surface. Hello, Mr. Hornet. And lets that water then, under its own weight sink back down the bottom, but it's now full of oxygen, so that it makes sure that if the tank is going to stratify by temperature, it isn't stratifying by oxygen content. Because obviously enough, you don't want to... Trout are used to living in things like brooks, the ponds near the bottom of waterfalls, where there's lots of oxygen in the water. So you need to make sure there's a good oxygen content. The air is about 22%, it's 22% oxygen by volume. So if I want to make sure this tank is saturated, I've got to be moving an awful lot of water. So, like I say, 50 mil pipe down to a 25 mil reducer just to produce a little bit of pressure, make sure that there's lots of opportunity for the air and water to froth and mix properly, and that seems to be doing a good job. I'll show you another change I made here. Come on, you silly thing. Click. There we go. As I talked about in my blog post, this is now my drain pipe. So what it is this is a piece of 50 mil, and about 30 centimeters below the surface, there is a piece of 25 mil inside it, and it goes all the way down the bottom of the tank, and goes to this point here. So that's a piece of 25 mil that goes in, it hits an elbow, comes up inside that piece of 50 mil, and what that does is that the only way that water can exit is by flowing out that piece of 25 mil pipe. To do that, it has to flow up the sides of the 50 mil, creates the bottom vacuum I'm looking for, and then slurps it up and down and out the pipe it goes. And that's what's running my bioreactors over here. So you can see, there we are. The water's a little bit murky because of some pollen that's blown in, but otherwise it's doing okay. So that's one of my settling tanks. And then, as I've shown you before, that's the bioreactor itself. So it's what's called a moving bed bioreactor because there's a whole bunch of stuff in it. So you can see there, mixture pop bottle caps, K1 media, bio balls, but whatever, whatever made sense is going to be a good home for bacteria. And you can see there's a lot of oxygen in the water. The piece of pipe you're looking at off to the left there is the overflow. The majority of water coming into this tank is coming in through the bottom from the settling tanks. So that's via this pipe work down here. And then back there. And then it comes into this tank. And then that overflows over into the sump tank over here. So yeah, that's it. So I got a little bit of work to do. Like I say, so today I've got to fix the omission on the media bed, and I wanted to be able to start planting, well, whatever I can today. But this is what it's looking like today. Beautiful sunny day here in Morel. So yeah, I'm happy with how it's coming together. So get the media bed sorted out, growing, and then maybe this weekend, if all goes well, I'll get plastic into the bottom of that, and if I can scrape together the cash, go get the slabs of styrofoam that I can use for the floating rafts to hold. What I'm going to do is use the net cups in that, where the net cups are going to be. It's a little bit lower to the ground. There's going to be some wind shade over it. So yeah, I can protect them. Oops. Ambulance coming. Well, that's unfortunate. Probably going to drown me out. So yeah, that's the update on the system so far, folks. I'm pretty pleased. It's coming together. I had some worries. The money crunch and stuff because of the problems I'm having with my consulting business. I was kind of concerned that was going to cut in way more than I was comfortable with about the system. But you can see I got green behind me. That's nice. and making steady progress. I've had some friends offer help various ways, you know, encouragement, support. It's been good. So I'm enjoying this. I really do believe this is important. Gosh, it's really hard to find a spot where I'm not completely shadowed in. And that's just too damn bright. Oof. Bright light, bright light. Yeah, I do believe this stuff is important. Aquaponics, as I think I've said in a prior video, uses about 2% of the water that that regular agriculture does. So that's huge. We're living in a world where there's an awful lot of places that just don't have the water resources that Canada does. So part of what I want to do here in my backyard is verify this stuff. You know, peer review. I don't claim to be a scientist, but I do claim to be a citizen. So this is my version of peer review. Putting these videos out, telling people what it is I'm doing, saying, hey, I've tried this technology, I've tried this approach, I've tried this technique, this does work, this doesn't work, these are my experiences. Build on a body of my knowledge so that somebody else somewhere down the line may be able to find some of this and find some use for it. Thanks for being along on the journey, folks. I do appreciate your time. Take care of yourselves, have fun. I hope whatever garden you've got in your backyard is growing and blooming, and we'll catch you again on the next update. Cheers, bye-bye.